And after this already very strong start into the series for Reapers, we are back, dear viewers. Now, before I start rambling off by myself, let me reintroduce my co-casters for tonight, Fresh Tana and QG. Welcome back. And yeah, we've already had a pretty insane game, in my opinion, just now. And I'd start off with, let's go over what happened just for a bit, because we've had this whole dance over the course of the game between Reapers taking the lead, and there were already quite a few dances, like micro dances around objectives between them and AOMA. Then AOMA got back in, but then Reapers with a few nice fights were able to take the true lead. And I think a very, very important player in this whole situation was most definitely Lotus on his Vega. Frashana, you seemed a bit skeptical of the Vega in first place, and in the end, it worked really well for AOMA. What do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it didn't work out for them. I mean, they lost the game,
right.
but yeah, it clearly was a great pickup. I really like Weiger against those short range comms. Like, I mean, Darius always needs to run in the jump from a sack from the prong. You can stop them, and especially like a Zaya without too much range, you always need to walk into like the cage. So it's definitely a good pickup in such a team comp, and it really worked out against like the whole early or mid game. But then Weiger, if he doesn't land like his full rotation on someone and can burst someone, he just gets overwhelmed, and we saw that especially in the last team fights that Weiger just did not really do damage. If everybody just runs through your cage and one-shots you, you can't really just fight back, and yeah, it was just rough for him. But I really like the pick as in the whole.
It's definitely. I would say, in my opinion, when we started, I mean, at the start, we already had a very strong run going in from the real MJ, who was starting off really well and kind of fell off, but in the end game, he did quite a bit of damage, and he was quite an important player here for Reapers, as Oma were trying to find pitches on him to take him out. QG, what can you tell us about the real MJ's performance in this game?
Yeah, he didn't die in the fight, so he could damage. Yeah, well, he could do damage, but it's obvious. But the fights where he survived the early burst, Reapers won these fights. So if you, with the ult of Xayah, you can delay the damage output, and then you can reposition yourself, and then just hit the front line, hit Gragas, hit Shen, hit Rakan, and then just kill them front to back, and then just Wind and Trinket go on the Jinx. So Jinx is out of the fight. MJ just has to care for the Veigar, because those two were the only bursts were the damage of AOMA. He dodged these, and therefore they won the fights. Because on the fight on the base of the Reapers, they won it because MJ didn't die, because Wind and Trinket were on Bewiz and also on Lotus. And that means MJ didn't get bursted, and therefore they won the fight, because he could damage everybody, and it's just like that. Healing MJ was the point.
Yes, and it worked out really well. We had a very strong game from MJ right now. Now, before we're headed to the champ select, really, Freshtana, do you have any insights on what AOMA could change this time around? Because at first instance, it seemed like they had a really good draft session.
Yeah, definitely. I think both teams are so well prepared in this best of 5. I mean, we saw a completely different draft from Reapers. I mean, they just screwed the hyperscaling and just went for LeBlanc and Zaya, for example. So a different face from Reapers. And I think AOMA was so well prepared with their flex pick Kragas. I expected Mark IV to go for Kragas because it worked out for them, but then they surprised us with a really good Weiger, and we saw plenty of Tristana games on Lotus, so now he sits on a Weiger. So they definitely changed up their style on both sides. and that just shows that they really respect each other and that they are just prepared everything. And that's what I really like. And I think AOMA, they could have won this game, and that's why I think they will not switch up everything, because it kinda worked out at least. And usually you should change your system if it's not running, but in this case it was kinda running. So just try not to screw it up in the late game, and then you couldn't win with such a draft. And I believe they will try it at least a second time, maybe, to play it kind of even, and they choose a blue side again. So that shows us that they maybe go for the same draft. Who knows?
Yes, well, we'll see how. Yeah, you. Sorry, I interrupted you. You were going to say something.
You can talk. Well, I just want to say that AOMA again took the blue side, so they probably go for the same thing.
Yes, I was going to say we are headed to the champ select now. We're already seeing some familiar faces there in terms of bands. QG, do you think they will be changing bands?
I think they should not. The game was fine for either Reapers and AOMA. Or we see the cannon again gone. It's maybe the thing on the blue side you have to do, or you pick it. Maybe Mac don't want to play it, and also the Blitzcrank is now gone instead of the. What did they ban last time?
Was it Fiddlesticks?
Yeah, the fiddle.
Fiddlesticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Frashai, you were pretty skeptical on your look there. You did mention the Blitzcrank in last time select. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, they changed something, because never changed the running system. It wasn't running, so they changed something. But it was not about the Blitzcrank. I mean, the Blitzcrank had no role in this game, and so I don't think that it changes everything. And now Fiddlesticks is open, so I think Fiddlesticks is much more scary than a Blitzcrank. Reapers didn't pick the Blitzcrank, so I'm not quite sure why they changed it like that. But I definitely like that they go for the Kragers again, and on the other side, we will probably see the same draft, because Reaper's draft worked out, so we see the second Tsaya again.
And they also did the same thing against the Sloths. The Rift Sloths didn't adjust their pick and ban, and so Reapers, there was one different ban, and Reapers just took a different thing, and here they let the trash go, and they pick Karma probably again, because it worked out. Why not? The trash also counters the Rakan of ML.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, Frashtan, never change the running system. For now, Reaper's going for a very similar draft. We already have the Zag, we already have the Xayah from last game. Same can be said about the two first picks of AOMA, of course. And we have this change of support going on for both teams, actually. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think AOMA definitely needed to do something, and I think they just picked the Rakan because they didn't want to give away the Rakan to Forsara Rakan, and now they just thought, okay, we don't need to do that. Just take a Thresh. Thresh can always stop the jump from Sec. I think that is one of the most important things, that you have one more tool against the Sec. And now Jinx is even a little bit more safer with the Lantern, for example, so that's definitely a good pickup. And Rel is kind of like a really good pickup, but maybe not against Thresh. I mean, Thresh can always stop her, right? I don't see this matchup quite often, but I believe that the jump is stoppable with the flail. So I don't think that Rel is like the best pickup for the Reapers. They could have just went for their flex pick Karma, but why not? And they definitely know why they did it.
Yeah, and if AOMA goes again for the Veigar or for Rod of Ages, Ceres Embrace champ, Rel can just break the shield with a Q. That is maybe a thought behind that, and I think the lane will go really hard for the Rel here. She's really slow into these engages. You can just interrupt her with the E, and she doesn't deal any damage. But will the Reapers? Well, Karma didn't got banned, so they can still pick it.
You can still pick it for Lolo. I mean, it is a very stable pick of his. He's played Karma quite a few times in the season and was really strong. Renekton as well, one of the main picks of Wind over the split. A pretty solid pick on him. I mean, we've seen him prevail times and times again, even when it seems to be in his disfavor. What do you think will the answer be on to that Renekton for Stana?
Yeah, you could try to go for like just a tank, Malphite, or Sejuani or something. That definitely can work. Or you go into a skill matchup. I mean, with Jax as always, if you can land your stun against Renekton and you can block the stun from Renekton, that's winning for him. On the flip side, if you don't do that, you probably are screwed. So it's a skill matchup. Both are really skilled top laners, so that's always like the best thing if we see two crazy top laners on such a really important matchup. And there's this the Veigar again, and I believe especially against such a team comp again, low ranged, not a single really good champion to get around the cage. So that's definitely a good pickup there.
The Orianna would be really strong, I guess, for the late game of the Reapers. Maybe they go here for the Syndra. Also, yeah, they take the LeBlanc again. Lolo needs a bit more gold in the early game. He did it really well last game, but the Veigar defended it pretty good. So Lotus at the same matchup on mid and jungle. And also what's good for Lotus here is they don't have an AP top laner. Who deals well, Shen, in my opinion, deals more magic damage than physical damage. So he doesn't need the MR. And
yeah. So definitely quite a few mirroring stuff going on. We have the mid, the jungle, as you have mentioned, but the AD carries also mirror themselves, although with the support change, I think this will drastically change the whole dynamics we'll have going on the bot lane here. Now, I'm quite excited actually to see how both junglers will be adapting this game, because it's exactly the same matchup. And we haven't talked a lot about it. It wasn't very flashy like the mid lane matchup we've had between Lolo and Lotus, where we had Lotus prevailing against all odds against him. But maybe, Stana, you have an insight onto that jungle matchup here.
I believe they can both really sit a lane. I mean, especially Zac can babysit lanes from really far behind. And Kragas is a really good ganking jungler as well. And especially now with the top lane matchup being different, that could be a really important point. Renekton kind of needs some resources at least, and you can always try to help them. And Jax as a scaling pick now on the sideline, maybe even in a winning matchup because he chose this matchup, helping him is really important. So both junglers, if they know that, then we might see some rotations on the top lane as well, some counter ganks, for example, because Zac knows that Kragas probably is ganking this lane if Vines plays too aggressive, so I can help as well. And now with the Thresh, for example, on bot lane, such a lane is not that easy to gank anymore, so I believe there's more a heavy top side play now for both teams.
Yeah, and AOMA have 3 scaling lanes. They have top, mid, and AD carry that are scaling really, really good. And Wind is going for the Renekton that has to have a lead in the early to actually do something in the fight. So we have it's gonna be interesting what will happen on top and mid again.
Yes, and we'll see how that carries over. Those changes, will they work out for AOMA, or will Reapers keep on going on their current streak? We will see very soon, as we're already in the Summoner's Rift. Reapers decide to go suss out some stuff, but they don't find anything there. And we should be starting with a very standard game start here.
Yeah, I think the most important thing now is to see where both junglers will start, if we have a creative jungle route, for example, because that could tell at least some parts of the story in this game. But also, I believe that we might not see too much action in the first couple of minutes, just because of all those skating champions, at least from AOMA's side. And I'm really quite surprised that they actually took Hook to LeBlanc again, because I mean they won with it, but I don't know, QG. Did you like the LeBlanc? Was it the right pickup here again, or would you have seen something other as well?
The LeBlanc was fed early, and in the late game, Lolo just jumped over the walls and poked B-Wiz out, so his focus wasn't on Lotus. And if Lotus has to leave the against the LeBlanc, it's hard because he can't put out the cage, and you can still free poke as LeBlanc. So it really depends on what happens. Again,
You should be heading level 2 more or less soonish on either lane. This is the opportunity to try and find aggression, push the enemy back for a bit. Although both top and bot do get it more or less at the same time. We are looking here to find purchase on top lane, but neither of them really do.
Yeah, and it's like this top lane matchup quite favorable for Renekton, at least in the early game. He has more sustain with the Qs, and it's like easier to trade for him. He can always dash in, dash out, and if he hits the stun, it's fine. If he doesn't hit the stun, he can at least try to dash out of the helicopter. So that's always a good thing for the Renekton, and we already see he has the health advantage, so he plays this matchup fine, but especially Lolo got a really good trade there in the mid lane.
yeah, well if Muck gets the Divine Sunder, it really looks different for the Renekton. It's not.
Lolo keeps on trying to find here the opportunity to get some damage on Lotus, gets him really far back. I feel like this is already starting off a bit better for Lolo this game around. He's able to put some nice pressure on Lotus, keeping him check quite a bit. Now Gabush walking up the top lane, maybe looking for a gang, although there is a ward, so he should be sussed out. However, we do have Trinket just around the corner. Maybe the opportunity to do some stuff here. No. Oh, Lolo does find Gabush here. Decide to rotate and push Lotus away from the lane. Get some nice damage in the enemy jungler. And now Trinket just around the corner. The Q does miss, however. I don't think this will amount to much more.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought in the Champ Select. We will see more top-line focused gameplay from both teams, and especially I liked Trinket in this situation. He just helped out his top laner. He was there for the gank. In the end, no gank happened, but at least he was there to try to help something.
Okay,
and then both mid laners even went to the mid lane.
Yeah, it's a bit slower now because
Trinket does find Gabush here in the jungle, forces him to flash away from his own camp. That is too bad. When Damiel just around the corner to come in, flashes in to get the CC through, and that's first blood going to Trinket. And in the meantime, top lane Mac does find finally purchase with that stun, gets some nice damage on Wind. He's forced to fall back a bit, and Reapers just keep on going. Now they have Edward caught there with the Q. We do not get the stun, and the very nice jumpers from Bois stop Reapers in their tracks.
That's so good played by Mark, and by the way, was a good pickup for the first blood for Trinket. But I mean, Mark plays that in a phenomenal. I mean, you already see that he has the shield in his pocket while Renekton has nothing.
Oh, and we have to Tata.
Nicely played. And I mean, he has the item advantage. He used the teleport, so he got back into lane and used the Sheen to trade more aggressively, and in the end got even a kill. So it's so crucial for him to win his lane, and that will be a really good thing for his team in the later stage.
yeah, if you get a bit ahead in a scaling matchup, you are definitely winning. And as I said before, if the Divine Sunder comes out for Muck, it will be a hard time for Wind.
Yes, and we can see that both top laners are currently waiting more in terms of CS. I mean, Wind is still able to keep more or less in touch there, not falling too far behind, albeit Muck's pretty strong laning phase currently. And Gabush is just around the corner to maybe put kind of the nail in the coffin here, and we find the stun again onto Wind. And we keep on going. We drop the ultimate here as Gaberge is coming in. We flash away from the stun on sides of Wind. That's a nice dodge from the top laner of Reapers.
Yeah, and it's really important to get Wine's flash there, just because Mark used his flash for the solo kill on top lane, and now getting the flash back definitely helps Mark to maybe even go for a second kill, just because he knows that Wine has no flash left, and with that he can play really, really aggressively. And especially if you are ahead in such a matchup, you want to snowball it further and further. Right now he tries to get pushed in because Gabosh is still around, and when Wind is a little bit too overextended, they can might go for something.
And keeps on pushing on to Mac, but Gaberge is now coming, and the situation turns around as we jump onto the enemy Crocodile there, and Mac picks up a second kill.
Yeah, really well played. It's important to get him ahead. They did it. Good job by AOMA right now.
Yeah, and there you see it's really not good for Wind. This time around, he had the early kill. Last time, now he gets he's losing on 2. And Mach almost has the Divine Sandra, I think. He goes back now, he probably has it.
Yes, he should have quite a bit of money in his pocket. In the meantime, now the bot lane, we don't have quite a lot of action here, but we can see that Buis is able to start gaining a very nice and comfortable CS lead, as Gaberge is now maybe coming in for a lane gank.
Yeah, he is there, but there's at least one ward to maybe spot him out. So that's a really important ward here, because now the in-lane gank isn't possible anymore, and now they set up the pink ward, and it could be possible, but no, they will just they just needed him to shadow that they can just push it in freely, and hook doesn't land, and in the end probably nothing will happen here. Really good counter jungling, at least, because they saw probably Trinket on a ward or something, and now the bot lane is just pressured a little bit.
Yeah, the Reapers took.
Oh, here we have the gang on the top lane from Trinket. Maybe they finally get return kill on Mac. We use it. All the bounce is out and the damage is also there. Smite ultimate Mark is able to get away with his wave that just came in. How unfortunate for the Reapers here.
Yeah, they really try to help out Wines, and they could even trap the Herald, but will probably drop it on a different lane. But really well played there to at least get Wine something out of the matchup.
Yeah, and always when I try to talk, there's a fight. So maybe I need to analyze it more so that we have more fights. Yeah, I don't even know what I wanted to say, but the Rift Herald would probably be good on for the early game on Lolo on the mid lane, or maybe on MJ is always pretty good.
And I mean, maybe setting Lolo a bit freer there by taking that turret down, getting him some pocket money, could be really good for Reapers, because if you can start roaming, you might finally turn the tides on top lane. Now we have Emil on the mid lane deciding to go for a rotation, and we get the kill. It goes to Emil. How unfortunate for Lolo.
Yeah, but still really, really well played, and I criticized Lawless LeBlanc at least a little bit in both drafts, but right now he is sitting on like the perfect farm, 100 farm after 10 minutes. Like, this man is just farming like he would play a different champion, like with his Rise, for example. He was farming perfectly as well, but he is just really, really crushing right now in this mid lane, and that's what I like to see.
Yeah, he's putting the pressure on Lotus again, and Lotus is getting tankier and tankier, so it will be harder and harder to kill him if he gets his item. No way.
You have the miss there now as Reapers decide to go in. We flash out of the stun, but it's not enough as Woes gets really low already with the bounce. We're able to get some nice damage on Edward. The passive is procced, however, in the meantime on the top lane, AOMA go for the kill on Wind, who is able to get away and decides to go maybe to grab the kill on Mac. It's not enough, he gets it with the jump. And on the bot lane, situation also ended out with Trinket dying to the hands of Edward, who himself, however, died to the hands of Trinket, I believe.
Oh, and again.
Nice super mega death rocket from Boris picks up the kill on Lolo.
It's just in the end, it's a 2 for 3 even with this rocket. And I mean, 3 versus rockets. I mean, I don't need to say something because we saw the double kill rocket in the last game. I mean, that was crazy, but they just really did the best out of it, and we already see that this first item, mythic item on Jax will really hurt a lot. Here's the first one to have a mythic, and he got a lot of plates. He has so much damage, and that's in a good matchup even. So he will definitely crush White on the side lane every single time they meet each other.
Yeah, and Wind is not. He's so behind in gold. He has a pickaxe and a ruby crystal. Can we see a catch? No. But here, fight.
Maybe on the top lane as Wind is once again under threat, and we can really see the damage now as he takes a massive amount of damage in a matter of seconds. Gets under the turret, plays this really well, but it's not enough as Mac now picks up his 4th kill on his enemy top lane. In the meantime, however, Reapers decide to go for the cross-map play and pick up Drake. Oh no, the super mega death rocket. What is up with boys?
Can we
He just finds it.
What? This is unbearable.
Oh, and Lola decides to maybe go for the kill on top lane, however, gets caught. That's a kill going to Gabush.
Yeah, I mean, I said it. It's a top lane focused game probably, and they just play so well around Mark. And I mean, just think about that. Mark played Shen last game, so totally like. I mean, it's not bad to say, but I mean, he was like a slave. He's just a top lane tank shield probably, and now he's like the solo carry for his team. I mean, this man can play tanks, this man can play supports, this man can play hyper carries. I mean, Mark is so amazing on this top lane and just crushes one of the best top laners we have in the league with Wind.
Yeah, and we have to talk about these Beerus rockets. 2 out of 2, he got something. And also Gabosh predicted the W backcast from Lolo and just killed him. It's also something to mention. It's not that easy to predict something like that.
Yeah, and seems like AOMA was able to adapt quite well to Reaper's playstyle, and I think definitely putting Mag on more of a carry position helps them quite a bit, and they're now ahead 2k gold. It's the opposite of last game, and they are in good tracks with Mag completely pushing Wind on the side lane here, and not on the side lane. This doesn't work here. To say there's an expression with 30 CS lead and the kills, and now Trinket decides to go for the gang on the bot lane, but is sussed out by Gabush, who was just doing his Krugs and has to back out of it.
Yeah, and like if you just think about that, like there are 2 early focused gems with Renekton and with LeBlanc. Both are now behind in CS, in kills, in everything. So that doesn't really work. So the only man who can maybe step up to maybe save the Reapers in this game is the Reed MJ. He is still sitting on 0-0-0 with a good farm. So he could carry his team, but he needs some resources for that, and that's why Zac is already on bot lane.
Yeah, and also Lolo is looking for the bot side, but probably no. Yeah, and to Wit's End. Damn. Already, Jax has already his 2 carry items, at least, and he has a Rift Turret. Oh, this is crucial for the split push.
Yes, this can definitely be very good for Mike, because he's already putting so much pressure on that top lane, and now he's going to put it on the bot lane, opening the map even further for AOMA, which are already in a pretty good position here in this game.
Yeah, and just think about it, QG. I mean, we see that 2 items already are built by Mark, and just a pickaxe and a Kindle gem on Wind. I mean, this man is sadly really far behind in this matchup, and this the Whiff's End will definitely help against Trinket and LeBlanc.
And here we have Trinket getting called out, decides to turn the situation around with Wind, as Admiral is also now coming in. They try to get the kill on Buis, who's already getting very low. The passive has proc for Trinket. They pick up the kill. That does go to Wind. Now Real MJ is coming in to clean up the rest of it and pick up some gold with those kills. Lotus also really low. Now Edward is going to run into Lolo and should not be able to flee it, although he does a very nice flay here. But here comes the root. And they keep onto him, but he's able to get further and further, and he survives with a beautiful cage from Lotus, who almost picks up a kill as well. Wow! In the meantime, Trinket has forced to back to stop Mac and his crazy push on the bot lane.
Yeah, Mark is just outraging down the side. I mean, he doesn't care that that his team dies. He just takes down the tier 2 turret. Oh, the rocket, but it will not land. And I mean, and he is just unstoppable. I mean, but it was a good play by the Reapers to maybe get something out of it, but I mean, Mark, if they just let him push, then it's really bad for them.
Yeah, you can't lane against that Jax. Wind can't. I think if you put Lolo on it, it isn't worth for the fight because you have to burst that. You have to burst Beerus down and. Also the Veigar, it was really close that Edward survived there, but I think Emil gets...
Emil in a very tough spot here as he tries to dodge the hook, but now off his mount is unable to get away from AOMA's full force collapsing onto him. Now Trinket desperately tries to protect the turret, but it's not enough. Now Mac jumping onto him, it's very dangerous, he needs to flee, gets a lot of damage already from Buis and Max combined efforts. And AOMA just keeps the push going. Lolo almost picks up Gabush there.
Go for a little cross-map play with Wind on the top lane, at least getting maybe 1 turret in the end, but they lose 2 turrets mid lane and probably even the Drake, because now AOMA can probably go for Drake with the rotation, and that's looking really sad for the Reapers right now.
Yeah, and Lolo is just dancing around the dragon, so... to put out the pressure, but MJ can't join that dragon fight, so just have some poke here. It's
tries to burst down Gabush to maybe get the Drake for himself, but doesn't work out as AOMA picks up their 2nd Drake this game. Now Lolo is a bit in a bind. Edward is probably looking for the right angle for the hook. It goes sour and Lolo is able to escape.
Oh, I would have liked to see that Edward just throws his hook, but on the clone or on the point where Lolo could have jumped to, and then Lolo just pressing W, getting into the hook. I mean, that would be a pretty wonderful prediction, but it didn't happen. So in the end, it's fine. But Wind got a lot on the sideline. He got a lot of farm back. He got his turret at least. So they are getting back into the game somehow. But of course, with the 2nd Drake being now in AOMA's favor, their scaling just becomes better and better, and I think that's really the crucial point, that we have Renekton, LeBlanc, Xayah, not really scaling champions, against Jax, Jinx, and Veigar, so a whole scaling squad. So Reapers really need to win this game in the early game, but they can't really.
Gabush finds purchase here on Real MJ, who gets quite a bit of damage, uses a very nice Feather Storm to dodge this hook, but it's not enough. It's not enough, he's in the middle of AOMA and they pick up the kill. Now Lolo tries to get some damage out on Gabush, dodges Max a stun very beautifully. But AOMA now 5v4 can rotate towards that Baron, while Reapers is a bit on the back foot there to contest it. Mac alone should be able to keep them pretty far away from it. It does insane damage to Trinket already. And worst case, yeah, here comes the Lantern and things start to get a bit sour. And they keep on doing that Drake. However, Trinket still has the opportunity to try and fight us still. Now Emil does the engage. We get the stun. However, we can't run Trial Purchase on Gabush, but we fight the kill finally with Wind's damage. And he also takes down the enemy AD carry Beerus and starts to look real good for Reapers as they now also take out Edward Mark all alone in the pit.
Quadra kill.
Finally, it's the revenge. The quadra kill for Wind as Lotus all alone is forced to flee, and they put all their efforts in trying to get him with the cage. Is able to win some time, but I don't think Win is going to give up so easily. He's out for blood. Oh no, the dash doesn't go through. And Lotus survives. How unfortunate for Wind.
And you can't stop the Crocodile. I mean, what is this player? What is Wines? He just got beaten in lane so heavily, and in the end he gets a Quadra. I mean, this man is on fire, or should I say on water, because it's a Crocodile, I don't know, but it's crazy how good he plays this game.
Yeah, what? He even got exhausted from Beerus and still killed him. What? They won a 4v5, and now Win is back into the game. The camp from Gabosh and Muck is gone. The whole early game is just poof. The Renekton can lane again against the Jax.
I mean, Reapers is just going full shonen in this game as they pick up the lead with this completely insane play, and now with Baron, they can start to do a lot. I mean, Win should be able to head up against Mac in a lane now, and they can just start doing stuff. Trinket is really well into this game as well. We can see that he survives, and as Zax do, still some decent damage, and with the real MJ in the back lines, they should be able to fight off 4v4 with that Baron buff.
And I think there's really something about Wine, because you can be a good player, you can be the best player in the world, but if you do something like that, if you are behind and you are still important for your team, and you still get like a double kill in the backline against the Jinx, even with just one item, I mean, that just shows how amazing he is. And that he knows that he can go for something like that. He knows exactly his damage, and knows that he is a threat in the backline. And I mean, that just makes him the great top liner he is, essentially.
Yeah, and you have to give credit to Emil, who just jumped in, got everybody on his body, and Trinket just knocked up 3 people, I think, and then ulted around with the Conqueror. He has the AP scaling on the W. It's still very strong, even it got nerfed a few patches back. And also with the Radiant Virtue, healing here, healing there. The Chem Tech that helps a bit. And also the Gold Drinker that helps with the healing and surviving. And Wind just got his Hysterics gauge. He's on 3 items right now. He was on 1 2 minutes ago.
I mean, it's truly a hero's birth currently in this game for Wind, as the rest of his team is now heading up to Drake with a very nice cage. Does this enable Lolo to interfere with AOMA's interference? This is an interferenceception. However, Gabush decided to take the Hextech portal, but it's a bit late. Drake is done, is able to survive, however, or flee rather. Mark, in the meantime, he just does what she's been doing. I mean, just takes that second tier top turret in order to get something in exchange for this Drake, as now Reapers and AOMA are tied on this front.
Yeah, and just look at the items. I mean, Wine had his 3rd item before Mark has it.
We interrupt the TP. Very nice from Trinket, and they will or should be able to pick up the kill on Lotus there, but he's pretty quick on his feet. No, he's able to flee, but they interrupted his TP.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, even though Lolo got caught, by the way, they still got the Drake. I think that's the most important thing. They traded Drake essentially for a tier 2 top lane turret. That you will lose a turret versus a Jack somewhere. It's pretty clear. So Mark just did the best out of it, and I really like his item build so far with the Zonias. He can always jump into the backline, and if he needs to, he is just always unstoppable with Sonya. So that's definitely like a good pickup. He is really tanky with the armor from Zonias, with the magic resistance of the With's End. So just some tank stats to definitely trade with everybody, essentially. And but that's definitely that game is all about those two top laners. I mean, they both can carry their team in a good team fight, and right now they both did a great job. And for the next upcoming minute, because Baron is spawning in 1 minute, we might see some playing with vision around it, and then hopefully a big team fight, because I like those big team fights.
Yeah, we all
Oh,
like
yeah.
these big team fights, and they're exploding for AOMA and Reapers. And Mach is just a threat on the side. It's still something you have to look out for. They maybe are not going to fight and just let Mach do his thing on the side lane and then keep Wind out of the fight and maybe win a 4v5, 4v4, sorry, with the with Beerus and Lotus.
Yes, and I think we will see some nice fighting now as Baron is about to spawn in just a few seconds. Trinket does take the initiative with a nice flay, does stop him a bit, but Boris takes a lot of damage and is the first to fall in this team fight. And Gabosh, he just exploded to me. I mean, exploding Cask is not anymore his ultimate, but it's just Gragas as a champ right now.
Yeah, I mean, just look at real MJ in this game. He used his Gale Force aggressively to just get closer and flashed over the wall just to stack his Ferrous, just to stun him out. Like, this guy is just using everything aggressively to carry those team fights. And, oh, close.
What was that? I mean, Mark just doing the turret, and then we're just like, well.
But they got a big shutdown, they got a Baron, they got 2 other kills. I mean, Reapers are just on the tracks to win this game.
Yeah, it looks like a deja vu from the first one. Reapers in the mid game it's still it looks hard, but now as you see, Wind got these kills. He has this death dance soon, so we'll be even more tanky. Trinkus is on 3 items. MJ has 3 items. He has the Bloodthirst to finish now, so the sieges will be even harder to kill him. He has the quick blades, so he can just do so much damage. And Mac has 4 items, and he still loses against Wind. This is so crucial. Well, he wanted the turret, but still, he got it in the end.
And the power dynamic definitely shifted on that side, and Wind now even ahead in levels, almost level 18, heading for a really good game in the end. And what I also want to mention, you gotta give props to Lolo, who is currently not the one who does, I'd say, the most flashy stuff in his team. But he is always really well positioned to just annoy the hell out of AOMA. And that's what I love about some nice LeBlanc gameplay.
Yeah, now they just group up for the dragon. That would be the soul point Drake. They just send Wind with teleport, that's important, to the top lane to defend Mark. And now it's just all about finding the next picks, and that's definitely something that Trinket looked for before the Baron. He just thought, I can jump into that. He got it. Even though there was a fresh, he could still go for it. And now the dragon is on the table.
Yeah, now a soul point for either team. Now Gabish in the middle of the pit is not going to survive long. Another... No, this time Bewis won't have Reapers as they pick up 2 kills and the Drake.
Yeah, small trading there, but no soul point. And I mean, especially for a team that isn't scaling that well, this soul is really essential, because we already talked about like how good they are in picking people, especially with the LeBlanc, with the Zac, and even of course with the Rail. And with the soul, it gets much more easy to really catch someone because of the slow. So that will really help them to find good engages, to find good pickups, to hopefully win a 4v5 or something. Because I think in a 5v5, it could be hard to win right now, just because of Mark and just because of like all the shenanigans with those hyper carriers, with Jinx and with Viger. But if they always go for just one person or 2 persons and just kill them, that's definitely working in their favor right now.
Yeah, and it's also hard for AOMA to send their strongest team member to the side lane because they lose the 4v4. It's the second time they lost the 4v4. And I think if they have Muck and wins in team fights, it looks very hard at the moment for AOMA. I think they want to plan with the send Jack split pushing, so we have Renekton out of the team fights. But if you do that, you don't have Jax into your team fight, and Lolo, MJ, and Trinket are really strong, and they have the 4v4 go buttons are there for the Reapers. I think it to decide what Muck has to do here is pretty important. And also, Gabosh is 2 levels behind Trinket. That's also a point to mention. And also an item behind. And he goes AP. So there's no real front line for Beerus to have. Just getting shredded.
I find it kind of funny, this top lane situation which we've seen over and over again of Mark just pushing and we're pushing it back, but now we have Gabish and Amiel there to change the situation as Wind is starting to get quite a lot of damage. The real MJ joins in to put the last of damage needed to finish them off, but Mark's survive is still pretty long with that stopwatch, but they are able to, that's Zonya, sorry, they're able to get the kill off him. Now Trinket onto Beerus, but a nice lantern from Edward is gonna save his life.
Yeah. Good pickups there, but also a good reaction from AOMA to at least catch Lawler. But I think QG said something really important. Gabush goes for full AP. He goes for fully class cannon, and just think about it. They had 3 scaling lanes, so they have 3 hyper carries essentially. Why do you build full AP? Your team needs a front line. Your team needs someone who just tanks for them because your team has plenty of damage. And with this full AP build, we saw it plenty of times in those dragon fights. He jumps in for the steal, gets just bursted down, can't go for the steal. Or just in those team fights where he tries to engage, just gets fully peeled away from Rel and then just dies. Because he isn't that tanky. And I think that's a really big mistake, maybe, from him. Because he isn't really a threat. And he isn't really tanky. And he has enough damage in his team. So that could weaken AOMA in those team fights a little bit at least.
Yeah, like I said before, it will be hard for AOMA to maybe they need to pick someone with the trash lantern, trash hook, or disrupt the team fight with the ult of Gragas. This is
Tensions are starting to rise up as the next Baron has spawned. We also have the next Dragon, 50 seconds, Lola just doing his thing. And now both teams are starting to agglomerate around that middle lane. Might have some action going up very soon. Lola always on the side, like a fawn in AOMA's side, just annoying them the whole time. Now it's AOMA that's closer to the brand. This is a whole dance for who is closer to where.
Look at Lolo.
Mac looking here for the engage. MJ does use the Feather Storm to not get the damage into Amiel in the middle of AOMA. Takes a lot of damage as the first to fall. In the meantime, Mac in the middle of Reapers is doing God's work, but shouldn't be surviving too long as now he dies. What? In the meantime, Wind in the middle of AOMA. It's the battle of the top lane as Sadar picking up the whole team by themselves here, but this is turning in favor of Reapers as the shutdown does go to Wind, but Gabush is not surviving for very long. However, 3 kills, 4-4. This is still a pretty decent result for AOMA, who are pretty far behind.
Yeah, I mean, Wind is just more tanky in those crappy fights against multiple targets. Maybe Mark is stronger in a 1v1, but especially with Wind having the death stance, having good gore drinker, having his Qs, he has so much sustain in those fights, so he can just tank 4 people like nobody. On the meantime, Mark is maybe tanky against 1, maybe tanky against 2, and can get some time with his Zonias. But that's it. After his Counter-Strike, after Zonias, he isn't tanky anymore, and then just dies. And that was the crucial part about this play, because Wind was strong enough to hold the backline away, while Mark somehow died, and then Trinket and Real NJ could just turn the fight and just carry Reapers through it.
Yeah, and now AOMA decides to go for that Baron as Reapers decided to reset for a bit. They are taking the opportunity, the initiative here to go for it, but we have a TP coming in. Very nice cage here, but Amiel does go in the middle of it, and Booz is already almost dead. They grab Baron, but now Trinket is able to follow up, and Lola is there as well. The whole team is there. There's a big team fight once again as Lotus is falling. Now Bo is also, and this is already an ace going for Reapers, who now can finish the game.
It's not only an ace, it's a clear ace. They just aced them without losing someone, and probably with the Spotlight Wave they can win it. And I just want to say it because someone liked when I say that. The Cinderella stories of Reapers continues. They go in with a 2-0 lead in this. They are just one step before sweeping through AOMA. That would be quite a Cinderella story.
Do you know the Reapers meme with the doors? This is it. That's the Reapers meme. First, they take out Dynasty. They crush the Dynasty. Then they take out the Sloths. And now it's AOMA's turn. What? and it was like game 1 again. The early didn't went well for Reapers. Well, first game it went better. This time, the mid game into the late game was Reapers. The fights continued to pan out. The quarter kill for Wind was crucial.
Yeah.
He got back into the game. He could lane against the Jax. The Jax needed to be in the fights because he was the fed one. And Trinket just killed him on the side lane. He survived against 4 people. What?
A complete monster in the midst of Reapers Gaming, were truly, as you've mentioned it, living up to their names. The Italian org currently absolutely shoving everybody away in the second division. Benelux is a completely different part of Europe, but they are there and they're ready to take the first place here. Now, they have game point, one more win, and they are the champions of the spring split. How will AOMA adapt to their current? I mean, they're just blazing through these playoffs. How will AOMA adapt for the next game? Because it's now or never again in the split. We will see this in next game, but before we get to that, we'll head into a short break again in order to get the next lobby set up and catch a breather. Now, see you soon.